guys, thanks for joining me. I think you're a bit high up. Are you a bit high up? Do you need to be lower? Let's see. That looks slightly better. Not sure if I like myself better at this angle or the other one. Anyway, whatever. Let's go with this because I'm more sort of central. Even almost managed to get the bin out of shot. It was out of shot to start with till I moved you. Anyway, I'm here with the baby name tag. Would you change your name? I can't remember exactly what it was called, but you'll know by now because you'll have seen it in the title before you clicked through to watch it. I've seen a few YouTubers do this recently and I thought it was really fun. I think the original tag was started by SJ Strum, who does a lot of baby name videos, and I just thought it was quite fun. So I thought I would join in as well. Got the glasses on so I can read my notes and I can read the questions, which is always good, isn't it? Can't see you very well. Everything's a bit blurry at mid-distance, but hey, never mind. Need to just open my can of Coke. It's Pepsi actually, it's Pepsi, Cherry Pepsi Max. My Tesco's has stopped doing the Diet Cherry Coke, which is my absolute all-time favourite drink, in 8 packs. They only do it in 4 packs and they have correspondingly put the price up, which has annoyed the living daylights out of me. So I'm now drinking this stuff, which is not as nice, but it is cheaper. So there's 10 questions. Naming your baby is always quite exciting, but kind of hard as well, isn't it? I think it's quite a responsibility not to saddle someone with a name that's going to be inappropriate potentially later in life, because when you have a tiny little baby you don't know what it's going to be doing later in life, do you? I mean, you could have the sweetest little girl who's really cute and you give her a really cutesy little name, but in 40 years time she could be a barrister or the Speaker in the House of Commons, and you know, introducing yourself as, for example, and I'm not saying I don't like the name, always hesitant to say things like this, but hello, I'm Millie, I'm your barrister, just doesn't, Millie is not the name of a barrister, and there's nothing wrong with the name Millie. I like the name Millie, but I wish people would give their babies the full name and then shorten it to that, so Millicent or Amelia or whatever in that example, rather than naming them the diminutive of it. I just think it's quite short-sighted, and what is really lovely and cutesy when you're a little 2-year-old toddler wandering around the ball pool in your pink dress or your pink tutu is perhaps not appropriate when you're the Speaker in the House of Commons in 40 years time or 50 years time. Same with boys' names. I knew a child that was named Bertie, and I love the name Bertie. I think it's a really cute name. It really suited this particular little boy. He was just lovely, and big brown eyes, and it was really sweet. But you know, in 40 years time, when he's trying to be taken seriously in a high-powered career, hello, I'm Bertie, you know, call him Bertram or Albert, or give him the opportunity to have something with a bit more gravitas to use should he so desire later in life. Anyway, that's my thoughts on names. Let's get into the 10 questions. Hope I haven't offended anybody. As I say, I'm just using those particular 2 as examples, and I thought of them in advance to use names that I actually like. I don't dislike the names at all. Right, anyway, the question number 1 is, if you had a baby tomorrow, what would you call them, boy and girl? Now, obviously it would be a minor medical miracle if I had a baby tomorrow. I won't be having any babies tomorrow, or indeed ever again, and nor do I want to. However, I think that's quite hard because you spend a lot of time thinking about it, don't you? So I decided to use the names that I would have used if William was a girl, and if he was a girl he was going to be either Camilla or Anastasia, with known as Anna obviously, and possibly if he was called Camilla to be known as Millie. See what I did there? But yeah, I loved both of those names and I still really like them. I don't know why, I think they're pretty and just quite girly, and yeah, they were my favourites, and they've really stood the test of times. You know sometimes when you like a name for a little while and go off it, that hasn't happened with those two. And for a boy, I would have Oliver, which, yes, I know it's the most commonly used baby name in the UK and has been for years, I think, but that was our other alternative name if we weren't going to use William. We had two names. I didn't know if William was going to be a boy or a girl, obviously, and that was when he was born, we decided between those two names and decided on William, and Oliver was vetoed at that point. So yeah, those are the names that I would use. Question number 2 is, what would you rename yourself keeping your first initial? So it would have to begin with C. I found this quite hard, but the name I thought of that I really liked and have liked for quite a long time that begins with C is Caitlin. And when I went through I was going through names on the internet to prepare for this video, and when I went through all the C names, I couldn't imagine myself as all the different names. I was thinking, could I be called that? No. I mean, I kind of like my name anyway. I do like the name Caroline. I'm not unhappy with it. But I thought, yes, I can see myself as a Caitlin, and I do like the name Caitlin, so that would be my answer for that one. Question number 3 is, what would you have been called if you were the opposite sex? Now, I knew this already. A lot of people I watched doing the tag had to actually ask their parents. I know this already because I don't know, I just always have known that if I was a boy, I was going to be called Simon. Interestingly, 4 years after my parents had me, they had a boy and they didn't call him Simon. They called him Nicholas. Nick. We never called him Nicholas anymore. In fact, I can't remember any time. When he was little, we called him Nicky. Again, the diminutive of names when people are little is more appropriate than when they're grown up, isn't it? And now he's just Nick. I never think of him as Nicholas. And if he was a girl, he was going to be called Annabelle, I believe. I think I'm right in saying that. I'm sure my mother will correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that is correct. Question number 4 is your favourite vintage baby name for a boy and a girl. A lot of the names I like are vintage anyway. I think William's a vintage type name, isn't it? And the other name that was sort of in the mix when I was expecting William for a boy was George, and we didn't use George, or George was discounted because a friend of ours in the village at the time had a little boy called George a couple of months before William was due, and we thought, oh, I can't use that name. And I hear people saying that a lot. Oh, I really like that name, but I can't use it for my child because such and such that I know has just used it. And these people who had this baby called George, I haven't seen them for 15 years. I don't even know where they are now. So it just genuinely doesn't matter. I think it's a shame not to use a name that you like just because someone else you know has used it. So yeah, George would be my favourite vintage name for a boy. And for a girl, it's funny, isn't it, how all the vintage names come back. My friend, a lady who works at Ashley's office, her daughter has just had twins, and she is a boy and girl, and she's called them Arthur and Ada. Now, you can't get much more vintage than that, can you? I quite like the name Arthur, but I have to say I struggle a little bit with Ada. Not sure about that one. I also know someone who called their baby girl Agatha. That was about 10 years ago, maybe a bit more actually. But yeah, that one I struggled with a bit. It's very hard sounding, isn't it, Agatha? Still, each to his own. If we all like the same names, it would be boring. So for a girl, my vintage pick would be the name Dulcie. Not Darcy, but Dulcie is D-U-L-C-I-E. And it was actually my grandmother's, both my grandmothers were called Edna. Now there's a name that's never come back into fashion, and I can't see it ever doing so, to be honest, although never say never. But my grandmother on my mum's side, her middle name was Dulcie, and she hated it, I seem to remember. She really didn't like that name at all, but I really like it. I think it's quite pretty and quite unusual as well. I think it's hard to find names that are unusual that I like, because they're mostly unusual names are so off the wall. I think, oh, I don't like that. But yeah, I really like the name Dulcie, so that would be my answer to that question. Number 5 is, What are your favourite nature baby names for boys and girls? You naturally head towards flower names for girls, I guess, if you think about nature names, and I do like the name Jasmine. However, I have chosen for this one, for a girl, Robin, which I think is a really sweet name. I don't like it for a boy very much, but I think for a little girl it's a lovely name, Robin. And for a boy I've chosen Rowan. I don't know why, I just saw it and I really liked it, and it reminded me of a girl I lived with at uni who had a boyfriend at the time called Rowan. It was quite an unusual name for a boy. I think you can use it for a girl as well, but yeah, those are my 2 picks for that. Question number 6 is your favourite YouTuber's baby name, and I have chosen Rufus. Oh God, sorry, that was me kicking the table leg. I've chosen Rufus, who is Hannah Maggs and Stefan Michalak's little baby boy, who is absolutely gorgeous. He's so sweet. If you don't watch the Michalaks, you really should, by the way. They are so good. And yeah, the little boy Rufus is lovely, and I really like that name as well. Number 7 is favourite literary name. So for this one I have chosen Scarlett for a girl, Scarlett O'Hara, the original heroine, Gone with the Wind. Such a lovely book, such a lovely film, and I really like the name Scarlett, I think. And for a boy, again, I've gone very traditional with my literary names, and I've chosen Harry Potter. Don't like Harry Potter, don't like any of the books, any of the films, but I do like the name Harry for a little boy. Again, really traditional with the little boys' names. Don't know, that's just me. Question number 8, favourite O name that is not Oliver or Olivia. Of course, Oliver and Olivia are the most used boys and girls names, as I've said already, I think, or I said about Oliver anyway. My favourite O name is Ophelia. I think it's so pretty. Really pretty. I don't know if I'd use it. I think it's a really pretty name, very romantic sounding, and just nice and unusual and Shakespearean, of course. Question number 9 is, what did you wish you were called when you were younger? I hate to admit this, I really wanted to be called Jade. Yes, Jade. I have got over this since then. Very happy being called Caroline, thank you. I don't know what came over me, but I loved the name Jade when I was, I don't know how old I was, but I remember I used to practice signing my name as Jade. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And the final question is, what name would you or did you immediately veto? This was really easy. This was the first question I had an immediate answer to like that. And it was, Ashley suggested, perfectly seriously, that if we had a little boy, we called him Spartacus. I vetoed it immediately, obviously. And that was the baby name tag. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for joining me, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.